You just got access to HubSpot and you want to jump in and start going? Stop. You have to do these 10 things before you get going. In this video, we're going to run through exactly those to set yourself up for success. Let's get cracking. You've just got access to the HubSpot account. Congratulations, you've got a very, very powerful machine. Now, depending on your subscription level, you've got access to a slew of really, really cool tools. But everyone's got access to the foundational setup aspects of the platform. After doing this for about 11 years, we've seen a very big portion of people actually not have these set up correctly, which basically goes through and just leads to problems down the track. In this video, we'll be running through 10 different aspects that you need to get set up. Now, you might be new to HubSpot, or you might be around with HubSpot for over 10 years. I think it's a really good refresher just to make sure things are set up. Every couple of months, things move around as well, so it's important to go through and just maybe find out where they live now, but also at the same time making sure they're updated. Because I know specifically around the brand things, there's a lot of AI that's getting used, so you want to make sure that it has all the relevant information so the AI tool specifically can pull from and become more human, if you will. So the 10 things we'll be covering today is your company settings, branding, user permissions, contact properties, email configuration, deal pipelines, lead scoring basics, forms, workflows, and integrations. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to run you through these. A bit of a heads up though, we are in a test portal, so it's going to be dummy data. Probably not going to look as sharp and polished because it's our yard of test portals. If things look a little bit different, we have got an enterprise test portal. I like to call it the God mode of HubSpot accounts is that it's got everything turned on. If something's not showing up on your account and it's showing up on here, it's probably that. But make sure you leave comments below and ask questions. More than happy to answer as many as possible to help make sure that you're set up for success. Anyway, enough of this. So when we set up, when AI builds things for you or email templates, it's all there, ready to rock and roll. Now, a few things. You can go up to the search bar here and type in brand identity. Otherwise, it's dug in there, but it's under the AI settings. But essentially, what you want to try and do is look for brand identity. You can go into the settings, you can go down to AI, it can go to data sources, and then go to the brand kits, and it will take you through to here as well. But if you just type in brand identity into the search bar, you'll get to where you need to go. Go through here. Make sure that you enter your logos, your favicons, your color schemes, any fonts that you might have as well. We're only going to be getting better with AI, so my suggestion is just spend as much time as possible in filling out all of these details. The reason for that being is because, one, it's going to lean into a more human AI, but two, as well, anything that it creates for you or suggests or writes for you is going to go through and start to be better from the get-go. In here, you've got data sources like company profile, ICPs, products and services, and then the brand overview. So spend some time in here and make sure that you go through and fill that out. Obviously, necessary company information. If we go up to the cog at the top area, a bit of a note as well, no matter what area that you are in HubSpot, if you press the cog, that will take you to the settings of that area, not just like the general settings of HubSpot. I think that's really cool. It's a little thing that I really do like because you're trying to find the settings of the page that you're on at that time. There's a little thing. You go down to account management and account defaults. You want to make sure all of this stuff is set up. We usually just go through when we first set up accounts and just make sure all of this stuff is set up properly. General account name, time zones, company address, etc. User defaults, things like geography. We want what language, date, number, formats as well, emails, account defaults, notification profiles. We might want to set up specific notification profiles for different teams. Some get text message, some get Slack, whatever that might be. Definitely currency, so we want to make sure that we've got the Botswana puller here, but the company currency is the Australian dollar. The data hosting, now this one here is set to the US East Coast. If you are in Australia, you've got 3 opportunities now. You've got EU, you've got Australia, and then you've got the US West and East as well. My recommendation, if you're in any of those continents, just go to the one that's closest to you. I think if you buy it from Australia, you'll get the Australian straight out of the packet. It doesn't really matter about that. Any future releases too, you can go through and you can gradually have the portal upgrade itself. Little side note though, if you go up to the top where your company is and go to product updates, they have all the product updates and you can activate betas, etc. as you go through there. But first things first, get things set up as per on that. These all say trial because it's a trial one as we go through. You can assign the seat and then basically you can have some set permissions. Start from scratch, start from a template. use seat permissions or use custom seat permissions as well. Now, each of them, if you set up, I guess, the team structure and the permissions from the get-go, for example, if you've got sales teams that basically you just want them to see sales or you just want them to see their own deals or you want them to see everybody's deals or only see deals and not edit deals, this is specifically where you can go up and do this thing. My recommendation would be to go through and to look at the different teams. You can see here that we've got an example where we've set up the different teams. This is where we can drop people into and auto assign to certain customer service permissions, permission sets, etc. You will see permission sets up here too. We can basically say that, hey, we're going to give people contractor access. Now, if you set the permissions up, we can say, all right, well, these contractors, they can't edit anything. They can only see their own contacts, not even unassigned. You can turn what they can and can't see off. This will be hugely beneficial just to try and get to do first. Because I think if you know that you're going to have executives, you're going to have salespeople, or even third-party contractors or anything like that, you want to set from today what access they can and can't see, or even edit or export or delete. So data integrity is going to be super important for this one. So my recommendation, set up the permission sets, set up the teams, and then you can just allocate the individual to that permission set. Their way, you're not having to spend all of the time going through. Do not put this on the big screen. Do not make everyone super admin. Can we make this flash? Do not make everyone super admin and then do sirens. Don't do that. It's the biggest. Everyone is going to assume that they know what they're doing, and they'll go through and they'll start changing settings and they'll start updating things and updating properties and creating new, that's the big thing. They'll create new properties, which we'll go into in just a moment, but you don't want that. You want to have a bit of governance when it comes to managing this side of things. So make sure not everybody do it again is not everyone, not super admin. You want to make sure that you have a single person within your organization that is in charge of just how that works. No super admins, no everybody super admins. That's the big part. Even if there's a team of 4 of you, just not everyone's super admins. All right, so that's the permission set. Any questions, again, make sure you throw them in the chat below. Now, the third I'm going to move to is contact properties and their foundations of data. This is essentially the lifeblood. It is the blood in the body of the HubSpot CRM. It is the thing that makes it work because the data that's in there and the data that is collected is reporting on. It's a reference back and it's what you associate with companies' deals, contacts, etc. So it is very, very important to think about what you're doing before you do it as well. Properties, essentially, for those playing at home that might not know, and if you just go to the cog and then go to properties, they're essentially the pieces of information that we store and capture that we put against a record. What's a record? A record is, my name is Travis, I have a contact record and it has information about me, it has phone number, email address, it has my address, it has my sex, it has a collection of information that is specifically about the individual. There is also company records. So I work at Neighborhood. So Neighborhood is at this address. It has this amount of people. It does this amount of revenue. It does this amount of services. And these 2 records that we see as a contact in a company are associated because Travis works at Neighborhood. Now, when we talk about records, we've also got deals and we've got a deal record. So essentially what we have is that if Travis from Neighborhood is wanting to buy something at a company, there's an opportunity and that is a record. So that pops up. And then we're collecting specific information about that opportunity that's referenced to Travis at Neighborhood. So whilst they look a little bit the same, they're all a little bit different, but it's all working towards associating towards each other. Now, the information that I mentioned there, the email address, the address, the sex, the company information, etc., they're all properties of that specific record, or the object they call it inside HubSpot. Now, we want to make sure that the properties that we collect from people or the information we collect from people are stored underneath the right people. Now, I have a think about properties as if you go to a website and you see a form, each of those pieces of input or the form like first name, last name, email address, that is a property. But we need to create those properties. Now, HubSpot has them ready to go, some default ones out of the packet. But the beautiful thing about HubSpot is you can create any of them that you want. You can create a single line one. You can create one that is just a number. You can create one that's a date. You can create a tick box. You can create a drop down. You can create a multi-select. And these need to tie directly to the records or the objects that we were talking about before, so that when we collect the specific information, whether it be on a form or whether we're entering information inside the CRM, that the format is correct. Because what we'll do with that information is we'll automate. but we'll also report on it as well. Probably went a little bit too deep on that one, but essentially this area here is where we have look at properties. Now, out of the packet, there's some that are created either by yourself or HubSpot has them out of the packet, as I mentioned. But you can see here that this one here is under a contact property, so a person. So last name is a single line text. What's your citizenship, school name, custom status, citizenship? These are all things that we collect on the specific individual. So you can create properties. You can click on this and you might want to say hair color. So go on. I can spell color. I've already got one called hair color. That's fine. I've probably had this exact same demonstration before, which is funny. There it is. You can see here that it's a drop-down select. We've made this before. We can see that the field type is a drop-down select. Then basically, so when you go to a form, you click on it, it drops down and you can select one of those, not like a multi-select. This is the difference between properties. In this instance, you can only select one. Multi-select, you can select two, but you can't have two hair colors. Well, maybe sometimes you can, but in this instance, most people don't. This is where we would create them. Then once we save these, then we can add these to the contact cards or we can put them in forms, etc. I would tread with caution. What we do see often in this instance is a lot of people just creating random properties and creating the same property worded a little bit differently. Really getting on top of the information that we need to collect from the customer prospects or whoever it leads, whatever it might be, and just making sure there's a little bit of governance with that as well. Also, make sure you use groups because it groups the collection of information into those as well. Probably the driest subject you'll ever hear about, but it is very important because it's the lifeblood of the HubSpot account. Just a reminder that you got contact company, you got deal properties, but depending on the different types of objects that you've got, this is where you would edit those. Number 4, we're going to get your email set up. If you go over to the marketing and go down to email, again, this one's been set up before. This is the emails where you send out emails. You can do a single send email, or you can get it automated if you've got the right subscription plan. In this one here, we want to make sure that we get things set up properly. Now, remember what I said, if you want the settings of somewhere, just go there and press the cog. We're now in the marketing email area. We can go up to the cog and press it. And voila, we are in the email configuration area. A few things that we want to do is we want to make sure from a compliance standpoint that we are getting our email foot up and our address all set up. HubSpot won't let you send anything unless every single email that you send out has your address and a phone number and the ability to unsubscribe, which is cooked into there as well. If you go here, obviously you want to make sure that you have your address. You have the ability to do double opt-in. Subscriptions is really important as well. We want to make sure that these are the templates. From a subscription standpoint, you need to either resubscribe, etc. I'll let you guys go through all of this. Subscription types, sometimes they sign up to certain types of subscriptions. For example, you might have a newsletter, but you might have a newsletter about sales and a newsletter about marketing and a newsletter about service. This is the ability for them to, when they do sign up, to select what information. Because when you are sending emails out, you're able to select what information you want to select, not just send it out to everybody as it is. Tracking that we've got here as well. We can track email opens and we can track clicks as well. That gives you better insight in regards to the performance of how things are working as well. Send frequency that we've got there, we want to make sure that we can set how many emails specific individuals get or just receive every single one. If we are setting up the ability to send, which is in a different area, we want to go all the way down to content. We want to go down to domains and settings. This is basically where we go through and we actually can connect it. Now, if you don't know what you're doing here, please reach out to us at WeRTMBH.co and we can help you out here. If we are going through, we can connect a domain and we may want to do email sending. In this instance, what we're going to do, it'll pop up and then basically saying all the emails are going to be sent from here. It's going to step you through a thing called DNS. You need to go through your system provider and you can basically see a bunch of records here and go through setting up your SPF, your DMARC, and also your DNS settings. If you don't know what that is, again, reach out to us. But the big part is what we want to try and do is tell your domain, which is your www whateveritis. That HubSpot can send emails on your behalf. This is what it's doing right here. Again, it can take you about 5 to 10, just update it. But depending on your configuration, if you got an IT team, definitely reach out to those guys for sure. Number 5, we're going to look at deal pipelines. Personally, my favorite area in the whole ecosystem of HubSpot, the sales pipelines. If we go up to the CRM and go to deals, this is where we can see the sales pipelines. which is essentially a Kanban board, and your job is to get a deal from one side to the other. Now, each of these stages that you can see here are all customizable. You can customize them and personalize them for your own personal process at your company or organization. Now, to do this, obviously go into the deal pipeline that you've got the stage here, click the cog, and then it will take you into the deals area. You want to hover over to pipelines, and this essentially is where we manage the process in regards to the deal stages. You'll see here that we've got the deal stages. Obviously, this looks like it's a property or a developer example that we've got here. Qualified initial contact, property evaluation, negotiation, due diligence, office submitted. It's definitely a real estate. Finance approved, closing schedule, close won, close lost. You'll see the probability here, and that's really important because that works a lot with the AI tools for forecasting, but also it weights on how much money you predicted to make if it's at that certain stage. And you can basically go ahead and set it up. It's really important, one, that every deal stage has to have waiting on somebody. It's a tick. All time kills all deals. So every stage needs to be either the business or the prospect. You're waiting on something either. Definitely having a closed won and closed lost, that would give data reporting and a bit more clarity in regards to time when the deal was created to when it was closed, or specifically just reporting on win-win ratio as well. You've got some conditional stage properties there. Depending on the subscription, I think it's Sales Pro and above, you'll be able to make sure that you ask specific information before the deal moves to the next stage. But ideally, this is where you can set up all your deal stages and basically start creating deals and managing your sales pipeline, which is pretty cool. All right, number 6, we're going to lead scoring basics. So if we hover over to the megaphone, hang on, I'll move that out. Move to the megaphone in marketing and we go down to lead scoring. Welcome to the lead scoring area. You're probably asking, what is lead scoring? Well, it is HubSpot tracks everything you do. It tracks when you open, when you get created, if you're opening up emails, if you're replying, if you're emailing. It's a big engine that's collecting as much information at every single behavior and trigger point, both from an individual standpoint in the organization, but also from a prospect or a customer. What we can do is we can basically go ahead and we can give people scores for certain actions and behaviors, either positive or negative. In this instance, if we want to go through and we want to set up a behavior, if someone goes and gives us their information and they head to the pricing page and then they book a meeting, we might want to give them 10 points for each of those. Now, the scoring system that you set up is completely dependent on you. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to reward with higher intent with higher points, lower or negative intent for lower points. For example, if someone doesn't visit your website for 30 days, we might want to deduct 10 or 20 points. But if someone goes to the pricing page more than 3 times in 5 days, we might want to give them 30 points. It just depends on the scoring system that you set up. If you want to look into the Fibonacci scoring, Fibonacci sequencing, obviously we want to reward high points for really high proactive activity of a prospect. But what happens is that it starts to actually accrue or take away points based on certain actions. If it reaches a certain point, then what we can do is we can then notify specific people, sales reps, or people internally to do things using automation or workflows. This is really great. If you've got a lot of leads, you've got heaps and heaps of leads, and you don't know what to do with them, and you're just basically going crazy. And some people come out of the blue and whatnot. If you are looking for high intent individuals that are looking to have a conversation, then you can basically use the scoring system to understand their behavior. And naturally, a higher score would mean a higher intent, which means that people are going to close a little bit quicker. So it just gives you a bit more visibility that you can start to really look at those from a reporting aspect or get notified if a certain individual does hit a certain high score as well. All right, so number 7 that we're going to go through is forms and landing pages. Forms are the doorway into the CRM from outside in. It's where we collect specific information from people that insert information inside the CRM. So think about it like the front door. But we can have prerequisites of what comes in that front door too. So remember when I spoke about properties and having lines, drop down, selects, tick boxes and stuff? This is where, so when you go to a form on a page, basically what we want to try and do is collect information. Then we can use that information to automate and update specific profiles. So if we go over to marketing and go to forms, in here, if you've got a fresh account, then it's going to be fairly new. But basically what we can do is create a form and we'll go to the new one, which is pretty cool. There's a bunch of templates that we've got here. I'm just going to use one of these templates as we've got them. And this is a multi-step form. So you can see here that we're collecting first name, last name, and then we're going next and we're collecting the information afterwards, etc. But you probably ask the question, well, where do these forms live? What do we do with these forms? Well, we can have a URL that we can basically go through and review and update. Update here. Here we can embed with HubSpot. If we've got a landing page or a website, we can insert it to that. We've got embed, so we've got some JavaScript. If you've got an existing WordPress website or Webflow, whatever that might be, we can actually have that form living on that site. That's my recommendation. If you are new to HubSpot, make sure all of your forms on your website and landing pages are HubSpot forms, mainly for two reasons. One, it puts the information directly into the HubSpot. You're not having to go through WordPress or Webflow and then go back into HubSpot. But the most important thing is the cookie track everything. Every single time they submit a form, a cookie will be installed, and now we can start seeing where they're going on the website. It's pretty cool. Or we can share a link as well. That is a very high level of it, but my recommendation is to make sure you review all of the forms on your websites and landing pages and replace them with HubSpot forms, because essentially then we can automate and report on once the data comes into the CRM. Second to that, we'd have landing pages as well. If we go to marketing content, actually, we can go to landing pages, we can create landing pages. I think with the free edition, you can get one as well. There's no free edition. You can get the starter edition. Landing pages, most people go, I've already got a website, I don't need landing pages. Yes, I agree with that, but sometimes we might need to go through and create a landing page for, let's just say, a Google Ads, or you're going to an event or anything like that. HubSpot has their landing pages and can be hosted on a subdomain. For example, it could be landing page, NBH, co. Then that means that it doesn't live on your WordPress or Webflow or whatever website that you've got. You might be on HubSpot one, but if it isn't, it could be landing page, NBH Co. So it lives within that same ecosystem. The good thing with it, they've done a really big upgrade over the years as well about having to manage these. It's what you see is what you get. So much like the email tool, you can click on something, you can change welcome to, hello, everybody, then be able to go through on that as well. Fonts, obviously. Remember at the start we said brand? These will all flow within here as well. The form, as we mentioned before, we've got that form. This is the one that we set up just then, which is the step one as we go through. But this is where you can attach all of these things. Now, sometimes you can go through. This is the form that we had just there. Sometimes agencies and solutions partners like us can go through and mimic the exact website of your current one for the landing page, or if you've got HubSpot developer, or if you're fairly savvy yourself, you can customize this completely. Our website at NBH Co is completely on HubSpot as well. So it's completely customizable. You have a marketplace that you can go to as well and look for a whole bunch of different templates, and you can bring them in as well. But my recommendation, spend some time in here and get really familiar with the tools. But the landing pages, again, are really great for events, Google Ads, anything like that that is fairly temporary, that any marketer or anybody with no development experience can just whip it up really quickly and get some information and drive that URL out as well. All right, number 8. There we go. Number 8 is workflows. Probably the most, I wouldn't say the most important thing for HubSpot, but it's definitely a very powerful tool within HubSpot. As I went through before and said, when you get information through, we can automate based on certain information that comes through. For example, if someone answers a certain question in a form, we can automate that to go ahead and do whatever it is. This video won't be a video where I can go into detail about creating workflows exactly, but what I can do is I can basically step you through in understanding it from a very high level. Obviously, the visual editor in here is it's better than it used to be, that's for sure. But we can see here as we build it that if data values change, if information is sent or discussed or anything like that, when people visit websites or if they engage with something on a website or a landing page, when other automations or other workflows are started, stopped, or completed, or any maybe custom integration or anything like that, we're able to go through and do certain things. I'm just going to use this as an example. Here we go. Say, for example, I always like to use the marble analogy in this as well. Essentially, the marble will fall down. Then what we can do is we can build specific automations that go through here. For example, someone fills out a form, then what we can do is we can go to the communications and we can send an email and we could say, hey, again, this is just let me give you a quick example. We're going to go through and send them an email as soon as they fill out a form. But then I'd like to branch it as well, potentially, and say, look, if they go through and they reply, I'd like to do that. But if they don't reply, I'll delete this one. Don't reply. If they reply, I might want to enroll them in a different workflow, for example, and save that one as well. You can see here is that the marble will go down. I can add a time delay here as well. It's probably worth adding a delay to say, hey, let's go through for a set amount of time. Let's just go 4 days. So we can say, okay, someone submits a form, sends an email. We wait 4 days, but if they've gone through and we can set up the logic, if they do reply to that email, then we can go through and do nothing. But if they don't reply to the email, then we can go ahead and do maybe follow-ups or go through and get someone to call or create a task or something along those lines. So if you really think about it, I always like to say, if you've got a whiteboard or a large sheet of paper in front of you, before you start going and playing on the tools, really try to drive what you're trying to build off HubSpot first, because you can really get stuck in the weeds with this about clicking around and trying to find how things work. The good thing on the right-hand side, I will say as well, is that you can chat with Breeze AI, which is the AI one that works through it all, and basically you can ask it questions. There's AI tool in here as well to build workflows. It's probably not beautiful, but if it's simplistic enough, it can build something. But if you ever do get stuck, you can get Breeze to come in to help you out as well. Very powerful tool. Marketing Pro gives you the access to all of this stuff. I think Marketing Starter or some of them give you very limited access to some of them as well. But the more that you play with this, the better you become aware of that you're able to automate, systemize, and do a whole bunch of things. Probably the most powerful tool within HubSpot because it works when you're sleeping as well. So very, very powerful tool. Very bad job of explaining how it works. But if you run the marble idea through, you should get a pretty good idea on how things work as well. Number 9 is reporting dashboards. So this one where we've got here is for this one. Specifically, I'm just going to use the ones out of the packet because I think that's one that's going to be hugely beneficial for everybody. HubSpot has got some great dashboards that you can set up. Now, if you got to create dashboards, we've got some preloaded ones in here that you can use, whether from marketing attribution, lead marketing, email overview, sales team performance. If you're brand new to this, this is going to be where you're going to go ahead and find it. Once you go ahead and create the dashboard specifically, you can go through and you can actually edit them as you go through. This is obviously total deals closed versus the goal, leader dashboards, etc. These are all really good ways to start. If there's specific ones that you want to add, you can add the content, add a report, and you can go through and look at some ready-made reports down the left-hand side. It's giving you some recommendations on ones that you should use here. Or if you're making your own custom reports, you can go through and you can pick them up and you can drag them across. Well, they're already in there, but you can pick them up, you can drag them across, and you can add those ones to the existing one, which will start to populate instantly, which is really great. So definitely go around, play with those tools, and as you get more confident, you can start to build your own custom reports as well. Number 10, integrations. Integrations, again, is a very, very powerful tool. We don't want to silo our data. We want to make sure that the integrations or the data that we do have can all be one single source of truth. Now, I don't show you how to do integrations, but there is a slew. If we go up to the little house or the little shop at the top and then go to HubSpot Marketplace, we click on HubSpot Marketplace. This area here will give you, if we go under apps, a whole bunch of apps that you can integrate. Zoom, if you use Zoom, it can then give the recordings and make sure that the meetings are on each of them or Meet. PandaDoc, Google Meet, Slack, Salesforce, Microsoft Teams, Outlook Calendar, etc. I think there's thousands. There are only just a few there. But you can go through, you can type in, and then basically, most of the ones that are built by HubSpot are just a one-click integration. What it does is then you can customize how the data goes back and forth. But if you are using silos of data, for example, maybe Xero for your accounting system, you can sync that up as well and make sure the data flows between them as well, and making sure that you're not having siloed data, which is the biggest problem that we see with a lot of the projects that we go through as well. All right, that was probably a lot to take in, but as we went through, there's some good points to really focus on those 10 areas just to make sure that they're set up correctly. My recommendation, block out half a day to be able to sit down and actually step through each of those areas, become more confident, become more aware of what's possible, but also give yourself enough time to be able to play and explore with the tools as well. I think if you block the time out, sit in a room or work from home or whatever you want to do, it will give you enough time to be able to not only develop your own personal skills, but to get more ROI out of the platform that you guys are paying for, and I guess overall to feel a little bit more confident about it. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, any feedback or comments, put them in the comments below. but happy HubSpotting.